Okay, well, welcome to the September meeting of the Village of Antwerp Planning and Zoning Commission. And this is Gabe Oberlin, zoning inspector. I'd like to take attendance, and if everybody could say their name so that we can sort things out as far as you'll be identified as speaker 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So, Ken Reinhardt?
Yes, present.
Bill Boylan?
Present.
Mark Greenwood?
Present.
Absent are Jan Reed and Michelle Reinhardt. Okay,
We'll start with the pledge.
per tradition, yes. You got us, Bill?
Yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so did everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Now, I better not vote because I wasn't here.
Okay.
Okay, I'd make a motion.
Moved by Mark, second by Bill. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the June meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, so the subdivision rules, those got typed up. This is for ordinances 9416 and 9417. We've gone over these in the spring, and Valerie, the utilities clerk, helped us out, typed them all up, did a nice job. And actually, we went over them. And there was only one change that we had added, that was to, in section 7 of 9416, we, in section 7 on sidewalks, that was, we struck out council and added planning and zoning commission in that section. That was the only change that I had from those previous. So our next step would be then to look those over, and then do we want to make that recommendation to council at this meeting? And then that kind of sets off a whole chain of events of then once they get it, once they receive it, then there'll be a public hearing.
Right, then we go through the whole process.
And we'd like to have the public hearing, I think ideally, if we could, we'd do it on our regular monthly meeting.
So just for clarification, the revisions that we want to bring forward on this round really are just more or less grammatical stuff, right? There's not any context
So the main,
that we changed.
let me see here. We changed sidewalks,
Yeah.
the minimum width from 3 feet to 4 feet.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the only substantive change. The other ones
Well,
were just council or those kind of things, right?
We did, we changed several things about, should this be going to council for approval, or should it go to planning and zoning commission, or in some cases, the zoning appeals board? Should things be stored in the office of the village administrator or the zoning inspector? That was a change. And then,
Well, section H, you got chapter 8, all underground utilities. I don't know if that underground, that wasn't in there previously.
I think
I
that
think it
we
just had all utilities.
right, we added underground because if it's an above ground line, then it wouldn't have to be placed before they did the pavement. 'Cause that's the section on, that says they need placed before the pavement.
Well, that was just something that I brought up and we added.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm not trying to.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Bill, I thought you were asking. There were some typing things that we fixed. There was, now there was something, a few things we changed in, on lots that,
Oh, yeah.
were highlighted.
Better definition for the setback, what do you would call that?
Right, we made those match the zoning ordinance so that once the new lots were established and the subdivisions had their building lines, they would match what the village zoning was. And that helps me when later on down the line when you get fill in. Right, okay. There was a note in here, let's see here, a side building line of 5 feet to be established on sides of lots whose sides abut a highway or street. So I think that that was one that was a little, it could have gone either way, like a corner lot can have 2 fronts.
Right, that's the way it was wrote.
Right.
What the verbiage says.
Which and then depending on the situation, that could make it really hard. You'd need a really big corner lot, and by giving a little bit of leeway there, by having it basically calling it a front and a side, even though it's on a corner, made it.
Which is true, there's a front and a side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've got the 50-foot setback on both 2 sides, so that
Right.
pushing
Right.
that house clear in the back corner.
But this is only new subdivision, so I mean, but anyhow, so that I think that was a substantive change. So really, that's it.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything in there that is gonna raise too many eyebrows, because it's pretty basic stuff. I think they're common sense changes
Right.
that needed to be made for a long time, that we're just now 30 years later
Right.
getting around to. So then maybe we should what section was that? Police department. Book.
And Gabe, just from a kind of a point of order standpoint, do we need to keep like a revision appendix with these things, or just rely on archive documents? I mean,
Hey, I have.
what does that look like over time?
You know,
what I mean?
that's a good question. And honestly, I had something come up. They're moving the village administrator and the water billing from
They've already moved, but yeah.
they've already moved. And then in doing that, they came across some documents, and I bet. So, but they gave me this one, and I wanted. This really is more a zoning appeals board record, but these are some records from the 80s
Cool.
that came up, and if you wanted to take a look at how they did it, I mean, it's all handwritten, and then there's some familiar names
Where
in
they
there.
moving to? In
Yeah, they're up there where the old dry cleaner buildings.
when they went in there.
Yeah, those offices in there.
They rented both spots.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
And that, there's plenty of places, to, I mean, there's empty storefronts, they could have gone to several, but, 52.
Country Times Market. Application for variance. In May of '85. It's kind of cool.
It is.
It's kind of stuff you need to keep on hand, because if somebody buys a property and then there's something sitting there,
We should have
and that
had that.
documentation didn't follow the deed.
I was gonna say, some of this, it might be worth taking a visit to the county recorder and see if any of this stuff would be applicable to go into their, I mean, they've got all that stuff digitized now. They spend a tremendous amount of time and effort to do that, but there may be some of those that fall in that category. Put them out there with all the records associated with the real estate.
Okay. Well, the,
So I guess, is there an answer to the whole revision thing? I mean, we kind of took.
well, I have.
I'm just curious.
My files are gonna be stored here.
Right.
Now, you can see there, those are pretty well organized, and I mean, that's all in a binder. My system's more of a filing cabinet folder-based system, but I mean, I take a lot of notes and it goes in the filing cabinet, so. Now as far as keeping track of it, but, I've been at least 1 or 2 emails a week from companies that are reaching out and that want to help communities or municipalities manage their documents. Like
Right.
it's okay. So let's just review this. What would the scenario look like if you approve this tonight? So if we get a recommendation, this is section 707, a recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission within 60 days from the receipt of the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance, the Planning and Zoning Commission shall transmit its recommendation to the village council. So that 60 days really was kind of moot because we initiated this change. The commission may recommend that the amendment be granted as requested, or, okay, so this, if somebody else had submitted something, or even if council had submitted something, you guys could recommend that whatever was submitted would be granted as requested, or the commission could recommend modifications to whatever was submitted. And if somebody ever does that in the future from outside this group or council, then you'd only have 2 months to do it. Okay, so upon receipt of recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Village Council shall schedule a public hearing. Said hearing shall be not more than 40 days from the receipt of the recommendation from the Planning Commission. So if you guys vote to send these recommendations on to council, then they meet next Wednesday. So then they would have, then there would be 40 days from the time that council receives it to have the public hearing. So we could do the public hearing at our next regularly scheduled meeting. We could let council know that we'd like to do it at that time. And so then, once we get the okay from council, because that's their, I mean, you guys will be there, but that's council's call on doing it. But after they get the opportunity to decide, then we have to run it in a paper, which has to run 30 days before the date of the required hearing. Well, so that might actually legally push us back into November,
Mhm.
because there won't be 30 days between their meeting and,
Next meeting,
right,
it'll be 3 weeks.
right. So then, and because, now one thing that's good about this kind of a change, if it would only affect a few people, if it was a small change, you gotta send out letters to
Right.
everybody. But since this is a village-wide thing, it only has to be put in the newspaper.
Yeah, because we're not impacting individuals.
Correct. So then, after that public hearing, then looks like it would be in October. Then council has 30 days to rule on it, and they have to do it by within that 30 days. So it'll have to be an emergency vote. I know some people don't like that.
Meeting, the next meeting.
Hmm?
Yeah, well, that should work, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll just go over into 2025 before it's actually approved, won't it? Or does that have to be
Well,
done?
so, I mean, council would have that, I think that authority to say, well, when does it go into effect? But well, let's
Well, I'm
see,
saying
let me
we have to
see.
do the 3 readings on it. Well, of course, we have a public hearing, then we've already, basically, if they get it this month, that's their first reading of it. And then the next month would be the second reading, and we have it in October,
Yeah, it's been fully transparent, obviously, but, let's see here. Within 30 days after the public hearing required by section 408, the village council shall either adopt or deny the recommendation of the planning and zoning commission or adopt some modification thereof. In the event that they deny, then it could be, this is, let's see. It must do so by not less than 3/4 of the full membership of the village council to deny it. No such ordinance shall be passed unless it has been fully and distinctly read 3 different days, except that such ordinance may become emergency legislation if 3/4 of the members of the village council vote to dispense with the rule, which that's standard operating procedure. Effective date. Such an amendment adopted by village council shall become effective 30 days after the date of such adoption. So,
if we pass this tonight, you'll have to get a hold of Kevin Hornish and get this on the agenda for next week, because all that paperwork's already come out
okay.
for the council meeting. So they can put it on, it's just, you gotta make sure.
We're behind the curve already.
Yeah, we're behind the curve on the,
Mhm.
Well, that calendar's on July, that one's on August, and it's already September.
and I think that was a maintenance man's job.
Oh, is that you?
Well,
So let's see, September 11th, that's when the council gets it. Council sets public hearing at, let's see, that would be the October 3rd meeting. That'd keep us on our schedule.
Mhm.
And then,
Well, they can't have it, that won't be the 30 days in the paper. Or in October, okay, I was thinking September.
well, no, wait a minute. You're right, it'd have to be November. You're right, Bill. Which puts that November 7th. And, so then November 7th, and then they could vote on it at the April, or at the November 13th council meeting. Would be within the 30 days. Actually though, oh, wait a minute. That might work out. They might even be able to vote on it in December. 1, 2, 3, 4.
When's the council meeting? What date?
No, it's next Wednesday.
The 11th then, right?
I think so.
It'd be a few days short of doing it just if they could have 2 shots at the apple. But, 28, 29. Yeah, it would have to be, they would need to vote,
Be an issue since we've had a public hearing as far as having 3 readings, as long as it's approved through that process. Rather than just all of a sudden, here it is, let's vote on it, nobody has any option or opportunity to rebuttal
right.
it.
But they'll have an option, September 11th, they could have their first reading. Then November 2nd can be their second reading. And then it's November 13th,
Right.
third reading. And that's also then they would need to vote.
And you go into December.
Yeah, otherwise it's let me see. It'd be 34 days if they waited until the December meeting. But I think the way you explained it, and with both of you guys having as much experience as you do on council,
Yeah, that's been the big problem is public not having a public hearing on this stuff. That's what's been, why people are complaining about these emergency meetings.
Mhm.
After we've already had the public hearing, then I don't think that'd be an issue because the public's already had the opportunity to speak on it.
and
If,
And
you know,
we've
if there was a
been
time problem-
here, and I don't know if Bryce has got all of our meetings on, but
Not
they've
quite
all
all of them,
been.
but just about.
I don't think he was
there's,
here in June.
Yeah, but so
People do watch them. I've had people come up to me and comment and question.
sure, I think it's great. We're more people that are participating in the government of the village, the better. So,
Okay, so do we need to make a motion and take a vote on moving the ordinances for
I think the
The 9416 and then the 9417 doing separate votes.
so you would the motion would be to recommend the changes to ordinances 94-16 and 94-17 to council for public hearing and eventual approval, or hopefully eventual approval.
Bill, do you see any reason to break those apart, or do we want to make a motion for both simultaneous?
Well, I suppose we could probably put them together, and if the council has an issue with one or the other, they can break them apart.
Right.
Because we're gonna present them just as they are, 2 separate
Right.
ordinances, so yeah, there's no reason why we'd have to break them up.
Okay.
So we have a motion.
I would make a motion that we move forward to present these to council for approval.
I'll second
Okay, moved by Mark, second by Ken. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion passed unanimously. So moving along, in the June meeting, we were talking about discussion of marijuana dispensary regulations, and lo and behold, it sounds like we've already got one.
Yep, council moved forward on it because of the way the state was progressing with their rules, so we had to either get on the bandwagon or we were gonna end up behind the 8 ball, so it's already done deal.
So they moved to go.
Yeah. So, I don't think that,
Could somebody be more explicit? That was a very loose conversation.
Well, the ordinance that I proposed was to ban the dispensary in the B1 business area and the I2 industrial area, which would include VFW hall, the elevator property along that side there. Right now, the state's laws say that once a dispensary is placed, there can be no dispensary within a 1 mile radius of that. But, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they come out and said once the first dispensaries are set and they see if there's a need for more, they could change the rules, which could change that to a half mile. If that be the case, then they would be allowed to be in the downtown area. There's a proposal, and I don't know if it's moved forward or not, out there at the 2449 interchange, of there be a dispensary there. Whether that's happened or not, I have no idea. I've talked to the landowner. He had a company approach him about it. I don't know if they got their license, permits, or anything of that nature.
but
So just to clarify, so the village has not put any ordinances in place in relationship to marijuana dispensaries?
Yes, it's already in place.
Okay, so what is that ordinance?
That ordinance is any marijuana dispensary, any grower, or any testing facility cannot be within the downtown business area or the I-2. But the rest of the town, which that pretty much, if they would
It's
get
all
one.
B2.
Yeah,
that sounds like a zoning regulation.
well, it was, but the problem was, is zoning didn't do anything. We took 2 months vacation, and so the council does have the authority to write the zoning ordinances over the top of us. All we are is a helping hand. We go through and we make, like these, proposals, but the council has to make the decision.
Right.
And the council can write their own, because if we don't propose anything and they need something done, they've got the authority to do it.
Okay, so,
First I've heard of this.
well, yeah, that's
At all.
fine, so thank you. But so I think the homework side of that for us is, because now this is just gonna be an ordinance, shoved in a file cabinet, more or less. People aren't gonna have visibility to it within the zoning regulations. So we need
Well,
to,
they'll try and keep it from me until
we need
it
to
comes up and
find
they
a
can
way
do
to
something about
interject
it.
that and come up with the formal language. I'm sure the state has developed formal language for these different kinds of business enterprises, so that we can put them into our chart and our consideration. Don't you think? It's already on the books. We just
Yeah.
need to make sure
It's the
that
first I heard of
ours is going to coincide at some point.
Yeah, there's already ordinance for it. I didn't bring it with me tonight. I could have. I had it at home.
it.
It was approved at the last month business meeting of the council.
I mean,
So is the depot sold then?
I'm not at liberty to say on that.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
tell when we're in
Okay.
the.
As of today, it's still titled in the village's name. I can tell you that.
Check it out.
well, I can tell you that I received an application for a retail operation at the town depot, and it was approved. Okay, well, so we don't.
Okay, so
We do need to discuss it, but,
we
so
just need to make sure we put
hopefully
that
they
on our
didn't.
to-do list for next year, or whatever. I mean, at some point, we got to put it on a to-do list to get
The thing is,
the zoning.
when council does that without consulting with the planning commission, then, I mean, my experience has been, they don't necessarily think about zoning as a whole and how that affects other things, so, yeah, I'll have to get a hold of that. I appreciate that information. to check on.
I think it'd be appropriate if we've got that ordinance digitized to forward that back through to everybody.
Yeah.
Just so we've got it on our dashboard when we go to do our revision for next year. Or whenever we anticipate taking that on.
Okay. We good on that topic?
Not much we can do about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
I almost didn't put it on because it sounded like something had already been done, but I didn't realize it'd been that much as far as legislative. Okay, camper regulations. We were going to do some homework on that. I know. With the way. The way I interpreted it after I reread the ordinance, and this was there was a lot of angst over this, unfortunately, but you know, I'm just gonna.
it seemed to me that where we kind of left that was, you know, to take a look at what other communities have in place on that subject matter. I was not able to do that. I didn't see it shared in an email thread, so I think it's still sitting there as homework to say, you know, before we really have much more meaty discussion, we need to take into consideration what other communities
I
are doing.
agree. I was really focused on getting this ordinance.
Yeah, and that's
straight and-
kind of where I thought we were trying to be focused. So I just kind of left that out of my mind. So
I'd say that's one to bring back up next meeting for old business. I don't think anybody has anything to add.
And we're gonna, right, in next meeting, there's not gonna be, we won't have, it'll be the week before the public hearing,
right,
so we'll have more time to discuss it.
yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, that, you know, I think that can just sit on the sidelines for next year's, you know,
Can't table,
bundle
we'll
of
table that for the October meeting.
bigger
Sounds-
things.
Sounds good to me. Now, I don't know where he's at, but, the chief of police called me and he was concerned. We had, I had received I've been contacted by a potential investor that was looking to buy a property on River Street to manage as a rental property, and that is in the B2 district, and it had a detached garage in the rear of the yard, and he wanted to know if he could convert that to a separate apartment. And
You guys discussed that at your meeting.
Yeah, the one that turned into a triplex is my understanding.
no,
Split the house and the garage.
George is the house he's concerned about getting split is the one next to Dooley's. The one that
the big one.
you're right.
Yeah.
And this house where I approved the detached garage be converted to an apartment. The main house is so small there, and there was nothing on that application about splitting the house up into separate units. So that was not an issue with the permit that I issued, because that is in B2 they're also allowed the multifamily residential.
That's what I
And
thought.
so
Up to
there's-
4, right?
Up to 4, yeah. But I called the owner of the house that George is concerned about, and he thinks it's because it's right next to that. There's a house on the corner that has 3 units in
Right.
it. It's a big old house. It's been an apartment
It's been a triplex for a long time.
for as long as I can remember. I don't know. So
He thinks he can do it then.
honestly, he didn't think it would necessarily be. I think he's more interested in. There's actually a building in the back.
Yeah.
It's on a separate lot even.
Is it separate? lot?
Yeah, it's not even. And so I think he's going to focus on getting that one around for an apartment. And
Is there water in the city or not? There's not, is there?
I don't know. But at any rate, he's not here, so I offered to put him on the agenda, and that's that. There was a really interesting point in the zoning ordinance that came up through this whole discussion. So I'd say the majority of the houses on River Street don't meet the front setback for the current zoning. Most of them, if they want to do any additions, now on Main Street might be a different issue, but River Street's pretty tight. The zoning clearly states that in order to split a house up into multiple living units, it has to meet the current yard setback requirements. So that would eliminate the need for almost any of those houses on River Street. And, I'm not sure about the big one right next to Dooley's. It's off the
It's
road
set
quite
back
a
pretty
ways. Yeah. But I'd say the majority of the houses on River Street, it's not going to be this scourge of split up houses that.
Well, you've got issues with parking because of how the homes being so close to the street, and there's no curbside parking, so where do they put the cars? Because usually every home has primarily 2 vehicles. If there's 2 people living there, there's 2 vehicles.
If you got 2 living units and 2 vehicles each, now you got 4, and
So I guess at the end of the day, I mean, is there really any problem here that we need to?
I don't think so. But
We were
Chief asked
talking about
me-
an activity in a B2
So
district
what-
that allows up to 4 units.
Yeah, there's no violation here.
Right.
But the chief asked to be put on the agenda, so I put him on the agenda.
No problem.
So that's
And he's not
why
here.
he's on it, and he's not here.
Okay. And so just to clarify, so you've already worked with a person in this B2 district who is at least going through the process.
They called ahead of time. They contacted their lawyer. They read through the ordinance. They did everything according to.
I think we're hitting on 8 cylinders. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And I think the ordinance works well. Okay, so yeah. The last item, there is did you notice our illegal sign? I bet you all 3 have driven by it.
Oh, sure.
It's right on the south side of town, right by the Welcome to Antwerp sign.
Grounds or something?
Yeah, it's a real estate sign, a big one with, 4 posters for, somebody print that for me? Thanks, Grace. Yeah, I didn't get it. They didn't apply for a permit. I called them about it. They said they played dumb and said they didn't have to get one when they put a sign out by the old Weatherhead plant. And I told him that's not the village.
It's township, right?
And so I'd have to look in my phone to.
Oh, is it that same realtor?
Same guy.
Okay. Chad.
So I told him that we could rule on it at this meeting. You needed to get the application to it, and I hadn't heard anything from him since. So at that point, in my view of the universe, that's a violation now. So then I'm gonna send him a letter now.
So what do you call that sign? Is it a realtor sign? Is that what it's called?
We don't have any distinction. It's a sign. The sign needs a permit, and then it has. And then he fills out the applications. It's $25, and you guys would say, "Yep, that's a good sign. We need a sign like that right there." Or if it's one that's maybe if at least you have the opportunity to say, no, you should move it back 5 feet so that it meets the front setback. Or
so Burrell wants to stick a sign in this house for sale. Does he need a permit to do that?
for one of these metal signs you just stick in the ground. No, and then I had somebody asked me, well, if it's a banner with words on it, is that a sign? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I have a flag?
I was guilty. I installed
What if
in the park signs.
What if I have a flag that has text on it now? Is that a sign?
I don't know.
You get a lot of these banners, you'll drive down the road and it says open. They totally stick them in the ground and there it is,
Yeah, well, we got all these different categories now,
I know.
temporary and, these
Well, we don't here, right? We got
minimum size. So, sounds like we need to revisit signs again.
I don't.
I mean, nobody wants to pay $25 to get a permit to put a real estate sign in.
No, but this is a big one that could be.
I know what you're saying.
for
I'm just
a
saying.
decade. I don't know.
To
I
expand
hope
that out,
it's not a decade.
it expands very quickly. But so,
I'd say if it's
it sounds like we need to
if
revisit.
it's in concrete and in the ground, which this one is.
Is it in concrete?
Oh yeah, it's got big 4x4 posts, and it's like a double-sided. It's a commercially done, like a vinyl, painted and two-sided. I mean, it's
Does it meet our setback requirements and all that? Or?
it doesn't. It's a lot
approximately,
closer to the sidewalk
That's pretty close.
than I would guess would make it.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I feel my duty is to send him a letter that he needs to have a permit, that he doesn't have a permit, and then if he doesn't,
So a permit would make it legal then, right?
Permit, and he has to meet the requirements of the
well,
zone.
I can only, you guys will have to
Right,
rule
we'll
on that.
approve it.
I don't approve sign permits.
I would-
You guys
I would-
approve
My
sign
opinion
permits.
is I would hope that sign helps to sell that ground and then we can get rid of that sign and
Well, if you put it in
Yeah.
concrete, he's not, it
Well,
looks like
I'm
he's
sure-
gonna move it whether
I'm
it sells or
I'm
not.
sure once the ground is sold, the concrete will come out of there.
Oh yeah, concrete's not that.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'd
So that you know what's going on.
email or a letter or whatever, the next step is.
I can
let's-
CC you guys on.
That's fine.
Okay. Anything else? I got.
So what's the penalty for putting in a sign, say that not supposed to be there and we don't approve it? Is that just to get a slap on the hand? You go your separate way?
Be $100 a day for every day that it's there past the time that
So
it's.
if he gets a permit, then he's okay for a while.
If you got a permit, it'd be okay until he didn't need to sign anymore.
If you get permit and approved.
Right, but you have to at least apply for a
Right,
permit.
right.
So, I was hoping that we'd be able to handle that at this meeting, but I didn't. Get anything. So that's all I have.
I had one thing to
Okay.
consider for new business, or at least maybe to have some conversation, at least so that I understand what's been transpiring. So, in the world of mobile homes within the village,
Yes.
was there an ordinance passed in relationship to that subject matter? Okay.
It was brought up twice and it was sent back to be verbiage changed or whatever, but the council knocked it down twice.
Okay.
It would move through.
Is there continued fervor on that subject matter? Is it something we need to revisit within the context of zoning?
Well, personally, I would say yes, it should be, but right now it's on Brian Davis's desk, and what he intends to do with it, it's got a zoning number and everything, but it's never been adopted, or, so I don't know whether if anywhere. I know there was there was suggestion that with the mobile homes, if the owner passes and the spouse takes over ownership, that they would be able to keep the trailer on there even though it changes name. Right now, the verbiage says that the title can't be changed. The title name is changed, then they have to move the trailer. And they're trying to, one of the
It
council
sounds like a
members
good
thought
solution, but there are serious ramifications for real people.
Yeah, so that was one of the issues that was brought up. Then the other issue was they wanted to run it through on an emergency meeting, which we thought we should have a public hearing so
Yeah,
the
that
public
one.
can come in and give their.
That one should be on the 3 reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
more
was the
sensitive.
two reasons that I know of why it stalled out and got tabled. But you know,
Okay.
I
So,
don't think
so right now it's just completely sidelined, or is it waiting for someone to?
it's not on the agenda for this month. So that's my knowledge of sideline. I would have hoped that they would have contacted Gabe, or maybe move forward. But that I don't have any input or.
Okay, well, it's a sticky subject, so.
Well, it's a sticky subject, and doesn't appear that there's any solution. Right? It's still just a dangling Chad.
Well, yeah, part of it was they put some verbiage in there that you could, if you moved out one trailer, you could move in another trailer as long as it met a certain size and it met all the setback rules. But the old verbiage said no trailer once it's out can't any be moved back, so that was kind of a conflict of interest. And so I don't know where it's at.
If you read that in that binder that I brought out from the 80s, there's definitely, they're having the same discussion.
That page that you just happened to flip to one of them was a trailer. They were getting a variance to put in a pad to install a trailer in the village. Mobile.
Yeah.
So it's been a long-standing, unresolved issue.
Yes.
I don't know what it's going to take to resolve it, but I think we need to move off center at some point.
Yeah, they've got an ordinance number, so I don't know. If we start something again.
What we've got now will not allow any new ones, but what we don't have is a mechanism to make sure that the old ones are making their way out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I thought that ordinance you guys were starting to work on was a step in
that's-
that direction.
That's kind of what they were trying to
Right.
do, to get it to where, once you move one out, you couldn't replace it with another one, but it's stalled.
Boy, I like the idea of just no transfer of title. That transfer of title has to be done prior to transfer. Done.
Well, that's the thing, like, if I own the trailer myself personally, and it's my wife and I both live there, and I pass, but it's in my name solely, it's not in the joint, and then she has to move out and move the trailer because she can't transfer it into her name. Even though she's.
You can claim the title in both your names.
Well, I realize
Right.
that.
You know what I mean? Quit claim deed, it's.
But I don't know, that was part of the discussion. There was no solution to that.
Right, but I'm just saying, there are ways, because,
Well, you don't even have to change the title, you can just leave it in the same name.
we're only talking about 6 properties probably total.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and if it's a personal issue, let's talk to each of these people personally and say, this is under consideration. You've got time to do something in that realm right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see come to the zoning commission to be worked out, but I don't know. It's not in my ballpark.
If we're talking about things that are tied to title, I don't know how all that fits together.
Yeah,
We'd have to talk to an attorney on that one.
well, yeah, you've got the trailer and then you've got the property. Are they tied together?
Right.
The trailer, no, they have a separate title.
Yeah, because if you're gonna create a ruling like that, then I would think that you're gonna have to file something with the recorder's office on each one of those properties. And basically, it becomes a lien against the title, I would
Where
assume.
the trailer's set, they own the property beneath that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Except in the trailer park. And that's all.
well, yeah, those are already zoned in, they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's whether any of these trailers that are in town now are actually leasing the ground or renting the ground they're on. I have no idea. You know, it may be one owner owns a property, another owner owns a trailer. It's been that way for I never how long it is. I have
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with any of them
I
personally at all, so I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I don't know. It's a touchy subject.
Well, we're not trying to tear somebody's house down, we're just trying to resolve a long-standing issue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think if council asks the commission to look into that, then we won't have any choice, but at this time, I think it's,
Yeah, we're better off stay on the sideline until
We
we're
have enough
notified
things.
differently, I would think.
yeah, we have enough work to do. Okay, well, we get a motion to adjourn,
I have a question now.
okay.
Since we're gonna move both these ordinances forward, who's gonna be there at the council to present them? You gotta decide that. Somebody's gotta just present that. You gonna be there at the meeting? You stand there grinning like a chessy cat now. You're the guy in charge of this.
I don't know, I mean, don't you get, I think it's the mayor's, commission, right?
I don't know, the mayor's gonna be doing that. That's always been before. This has to be done to the council. If they have any questions, there has to be somebody there to answer those questions.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Can you do that?
I've got after school, and if I could be here probably by 6:15.
What time's your meeting start?
5:30.
5:30?
Usually done by 6:30. What time you got done?
Yeah, it's usually always done by 6:30. But this part of it's usually taken care of.
It would
The
be
first part
best,
of the meeting is
it
not.
would be best if you could be the one to be there.
Better have this typed up. You know, I can present it as long as I, but
Well, it's tight. I got it typed up for us.
they're gonna need 6, 7 copies.
I'm gonna send it.
Because you
I'm
got to send it
in the
all.
process of sending it to.
All the council members will have to have copies as well as the mayor. And
I'm sending it to
administrator.
Jan, Brian, Kevin, and Valerie right now.
you know,
Oh, that's what the council.
'cause I'm not gonna run all this through my printer. I'm sorry, folks.
No way.
Nobody's buying mine.
either.
Well, you better not plan on doing too much up here because there's not a whole lot of paper. Which kind of surprised me. I had to find a short little stack, and there might be some in the fiscal officer's office, but let me double check this one here. Make sure that it's got that.
Of course, Bryce is here, I suppose we could hold a vote, nominate him.
He wouldn't be able to rebuttal because we just. He couldn't have an A vote on it.
3 against 1.
Well, I sent it to them. They should be able to make plenty of copies. Yeah, because I have seen that happen where if I wasn't there, it'll just kind of get brushed aside.
Yeah, you got to have a representative to present it to the council. And then you prepare to make
He
it.
should be the one to do it. It'd be quick.
I can,
Put that on your to-do list.
well, so here's the deal, guys. I got a bunch of kids at school on Wednesdays. We do technology club from 3 to 5. And it's usually 5:15 before I get out of there. And they've been bugging me ever since before school started. When's technology club gonna start? And I told them next Wednesday. I put up flyers and I informed the offices and so, but I think since it's the first meeting, I might be able to get away with, hey, we're only going to do an hour meeting. That'll let me out of there at 4:15, and so I could make it.
Yeah, okay, good.
So that's what I'll have to do, and
Okay,
I will be there.
okay. So, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, moved to adjourn by Ken,
All in favor, stand up.
second by Mark,
Approved by the
unanimous.